Uh, okay, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. JV Wins and Dogon SS are here to kick it to you once again on the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for joining us. As always, if you're checking out what we are doing here for the first time, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Let us know what you think about the commentary in this or any other video. Shouts out to all of our new subscribers. We appreciate the feedback and we appreciate the activity on the channel. We like to see the engagement. So thank you so much. You know, it's wonderful to see everybody engaging with the content. So it feeds the soul, you know. And for anyone who is new to what we do here, you know, take a second to watch these videos, you know, at your own leisure. Let us know what you think, man. This is kind of how we get things going as we kick this logical content each and every week. So shouts out to all of the current subs, shouts out to all of the new subs, and shouts out to all the future subs, hopefully in the near future. And as we go ahead and get things proceeding this evening, we will go ahead and begin with a viral piece of content making the airwaves right now. Yazin Bey, aka Mos Def, was recently asked to kind of give his take on how he feels about Drake as an artist and Drake's music. And his response is that Drake is, you know, pop. And he compared Drake's music to a shopping experience, in particular, shopping at a Target. And obviously, whenever music in general, but Drake's music as well becomes a topic of interest, it gets all kinds of people talking about it. We, of course, are no exception to that rule. So, you know, Drake, I don't know if Drake took exception to what Mos Def said, but he posted a cryptic response video in which he is citing an old video from the 90s where Method Man is describing the culture of hip hop. And I guess that's like Drake's subliminal response to Mos Def. But we will begin first with playing for you what Mos Def had to say about Drake and Drake's music. We talk about Drake on this channel on a semi-regular basis. So this is something. Oh, wrong tab. So let me get out of this one. That's actually the wrong tab. Um, so yeah, stop screen. Make sure we play the right tab.
Safe to say that Drake is part of the family here, you know. So.
Yeah, you can definitely say that Drake is a friend of the channel for sure. I'm waiting for one of our Drake videos to hit the algorithm because so far our Drake videos have kind of gone under the radar a little bit, and we be saying some pretty good stuff whenever we get on these Drake rants. It's like when we get on the LeBron rants. So hopefully this will be that one. But here's what Mos Def had to say about Drake as an artist, Drake's music, and this has been going viral, getting a lot of people talking, giving their thoughts on what Mos Def had to say about Drake.
Like, is Drake hip hop?
Drake is pop to me, in the sense like if I was in Target in Houston and I heard Drake. Feels like a lot of his music is compatible with chop.
Commercial music.
Or it's
Commercial music.
shopping with an edge in certain instances.
Fair. I like Drake's music, but I understand exactly what you're saying.
Of course, I mean I
It's
get it.
commercial, entertaining, fun, good,
It's
formulaic music.
it's likable.
Likable music, yeah.
It's likable.
But is it? I'm gonna leave you alone. We're gonna move. We're gonna move on.
Woo! So many products.
Excuse.
So many SKUs. Look at all these SKUs. Oh, so many products.
So much merchandising. So
Oh,
many barcodes.
I love this mall. Look at this place. I mean, look at this place. They have everything. Everything's here. They have everything here. Oh, this is great. This is the new Drake. You hear it? It's great. Okay. What happens when this thing collapses? What happens when the columns start buckling? Are we not in some early stage of that at this present hour? Are we seeing like the collapse of the empire? Buying and selling, where's the message that I can use?
Right.
What's in it for your audience apart from like banging the palm?
All right, so interesting question upon her there. What's in it for your audience is what Yazin May had to say there toward the tail end of that. And then, like I said, Drake somewhat responded to this, or at least people thinking that Drake posting this video was in response to this. And this is a throwback video from the 90s featuring Method Man, in which he is describing hip hop and hip hop culture. So Drake is not in this video. Obviously, it's an old video, but it's Method Man talking about it. And what I gather from it is this is Drake's way of saying I am hip hop. And here's what Method Man said all those years ago.
Hip hop is a culture. It's a way of life. The way you dress, the way you talk, the way you walk, break dancing, rhymes, stage show. That's all I got. You got shit. What? That was a stretch right there. Shit, that's the longest I ever went freestyle. Heard up. But I'll write a nigga under the table. Fuckers. Y'all freestyle all night if y'all want. I'll write a nigga under the table. Heard up. Most of my shit is written right there in the studio. Right there while I'm sitting there and listening to the track.
So that's how it comes up. How
Yeah.
RZA.
Because I used to have to go home and write to the beat and things of that nature. I learned to adapt, though, from being on the road. And I had to make my whole first album on the road. So it's like, when you go up in that studio, you better come out with something. You just walk up in there. Come out with something.
So to Cal, you wrote all that shit like right on the spot.
Yeah, most of it. Most of it. Some things was already formatted, like Green the Pain. Gal, that shit. That's just about it. Everything else after, Meth vs. Chef, all that shit.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, he wanted that track for his album, and y'all had to battle for it.
We was gonna put that on the Woo album.
Ah,
That's how old that joint is. And we battled for it, but it sounded so fat. Like fuck it, man.
So only Drake himself knows his true intention behind posting that. But clearly it's no I don't think anyone would argue that it's a coincidence that he just so happened to post this with this Mos Def content floating around the internet. So that's definitely not a coincidence. Uh, I guess Drake is trying to say I am hip hop. Look at what Method Man said back in the 90s, blah, blah, blah. Drake has his critics, throughout the hip hop ecosystem, I suppose, and he takes exception to anyone who would dare say that everything he does is not excellent. Drake is one of those people. He takes tremendous offense if you are a dissenter. But what did you make of Mos Def's comments there? Comparing it to shopping in Target and all the SKUs and what happens when this thing comes toppling down and what message is in it for your audience?
Well, if anybody's aware of my stance on Drake and whatever it is he does, then one would know that I agree with Mr. Mos Def here, or Mr. Bay. Um, the commercial angle of it all, because when he was saying what he was saying, she was like, commercial, and then he was like, hey, I'm not gonna call him commercial, and then so he just went down the boulevard of, you would hear it in Target, it's one of those universal sounds that he makes. Now, one can't, one can say that, all right, hip hop is worldwide, everybody knows it, everybody listens to it, blah 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 blah. So therefore, it is like a worldwide kind of thing. So why not hear it in a Walgreens or a Target? But my rebuttal to that, for those people that would argue that hip hop is the most popular genre, blah blah blah, so why can't it be heard in those things? My rebuttal to that is, what kinds of hip hop is being played in a place like Target, you know. Um, and Target is very corporate, is what I'm getting at. And Drake makes very corporate rap, if you will. He'll have his stuff when he's cussing up a storm and saying other crazy things, for the strip club people and all this other stuff, but and all of his dogs. But he also makes the more, how do you say, um kids bop version of hip hop, where he's just making very, to me, simple, uh placating type of music. So I understand it's part of his business model to stay relevant, to be on all platforms, because why not if you're an artist like that? So I get that angle as well. But hip hop, for hip hop heads, is such a sacred thing, to where I would argue the people, that the forefathers, like a Mos Def or whoever else, would say that hip hop in its origin was to not be corporate, and it was to attack, if you will, for lack of better words, the corporate underbelly that's going on in America. And so it's a revolutionary type of music in its origin, they would say. And one thing about having your, and one thing, the saying goes, is the revolution won't be televised. And one thing about Target, Walgreens, CVS, or wherever else in the mall, that's as corporate as you get. So therefore, that's about as televised as you can be, as far as having your music played in these types of corporate settings. So where Mr. Mos Def is basically arguing is that, in my opinion, is that you Drake is too televised to be a revolutionary enough to be a hip hop artist. He's as pop as it gets. He's as commercial as it gets. That's why there's so many SKUs. And so in this context, I agree with him 100%. I don't think Drake makes any music that is conscientious enough to speak on the empire collapsing, as he mentioned. And he speaks for the empire, so you can keep consuming. And last thing I'll say before I let you go, the collapse that he was talking about, I feel as though it is imminent. Some type of collapse. The world won't be the same. Can these gas prices keep going up? Can groceries keep going up? Can rent keep going up? And everybody keep getting paid the same amount and things sustain itself? Can people still talk about popping bottles, paying for IG models, BBLs? Can we talk about this? Can we do this? Or should we be talking about something that's has a little bit more substance? So yeah, I think Drake is as pop as it gets. He raps, but it's still pop. So hip hop is the category that Drake belongs in. So your thoughts, sir, on Mr. Yasin, right? Bay? Uh
Yazin Bey.
Yasin Bey's
Yeah,
comments
yeah,
on Drake being a little too pop for his liking.
yeah. I agree too. But to understand Mos Def's comments, you'd have to know who Mos Def is as an artist. I think if you know who Mos Def is as an artist, well, you can, but I think that you'd be hard pressed to criticize him for his comments. They're
Mhm.
just his perspective. But a lot of Drake fans are gonna be mad at this. Drake does have his zombie fans out there, similar to most other commercial artists. Beyonce, for example, Nicki Minaj. Beyonce with her beehive and Nicki Minaj with her barbs. These uh these corporate hip hop billboards that masquerade as artists tend to have their legions of zombie fans because the majority of the population is inept with regard to thinking for themselves. Hence why they are able to sweep up so many people in their web of fandom. But I hear what Mos Def is saying, and I concur with it for the most part. Mos Def, whether it's his solo albums or whether it is him with Talib Kweli when they were Black Star, they're conscious rappers and they believe that hip hop, as you alluded to in your opening statements, in its purest sense, is something that should at least a decent amount of the time entail some sort of message that is thought provoking, as opposed to always being about wastefulness. And the majority of Drake's content is about being wasteful. Wasteful when it comes to money, wasteful when it comes to women, primarily. What else does Drake talk about besides money and women? So I hear what Most Def is saying. It's being a particular when it comes to analyzing the content. So the way that I look at this, because he brought up going to Target and there's so many SKUs.
Mhm.
Like, if you're shopping for anything, like, let's say you're shopping for bedding for your bed, you can go to Target where they got the name brand stuff, the Better Homes and Garden stuff, right? You can go to Target and you can find something that's serviceable for your bedding. But if you want that real good stuff, you got to go to Better Homes and Gardens or something like this. If you want that 300 plus thread count, for example, if you want the stuff that you are not going to find in Target, you're going to have to go to, somewhere that's not Target, somewhere that's not Walmart. You got to go to Better Homes and Gardens, or you got to go to one of these chic bedding places where you can find that super softest cotton, yet durable, lasting over a certain amount of time, 300 thread count, silk, all kind of crazy stuff that you're not going to find in Target. But if you just want to get the bare minimum so that you can have something to put over you when you sleep at night, Target is your place. Walmart is your place. You can find something serviceable for a decent amount of money that you can pay for, and it will serve the purpose that you are seeking. But premium quality, you're going to have to go to more specialized places where you can get a more bang for your buck, a greater bang for your buck. Music is no different, and Drake is included, in my opinion, in the McDonald's, Checkers, Wendy's, Walmart, Target. That's where Drake equates to that musically. And what Most Def is saying is, if you want that real good stuff, if you want to be able to buy the right type of foods that are in season, if you want to buy the right type of fruits that are in season, if you want to, eat foods that are not, that weren't grown on a farm, that weren't sprayed with pesticides, that don't have GMO, that are non-GMO, you're gonna have to go to Whole Foods, you're gonna have to go to Trader Joe's, you're gonna have to go to farmers markets and get the real good stuff. But if you want to be able to, if you have a budget of $100 and you just need to line your kitchen with groceries, and you just need to fill your belly, and you want to be able to do it on a budget, go to Walmart. You can spend $60 and buy groceries for a couple weeks. Now, the quality of what you're putting in your body is questionable at best. But if you just need to quench your thirst, or if you just need to satisfy your appetite, go to these places, because that's the purpose that they serve. And I think that's what people like Drake are for. It's just to whet the appetite. You need a thirst quencher. You need to fill your belly so that you can sleep at night and not be hungry anymore. Listen to that Drake. But there are more thematic pieces of content out there, things that are more helpful, more beneficial, but at the same time entertaining. Because there's a misnomer when it comes to this music stuff, that in order to be entertaining, you have to sacrifice message, and vice versa. You can't be entertaining with a message, and you can't have a message and be entertaining. So you're going to have to sacrifice one in order to pursue the other. That's a fallacy. It's a form of social conditioning. There's tons of music and tons of artists out there that sound good, production is good, musically it's good, sonically it's good, and at the same time, you're not staring at all of these SKUs, as Most Def put it. So this to me is the age old adage of, you know, it's it's the it's the people who are into hardcore fantasy who are mad at the Harry Potter people, because Harry Potter is that easily consumable mainstream stuff that they made into a bunch of movies that everybody can recognize. But of course, if you're into real high level fantasy, there's probably some book out there that's better than the Harry Potter stuff. And it's just about being able to seek that stuff out. Corporate America tends to align with the stuff that's more readily consumable and is more easily digestible. And I think that that's what Drake represents. So, from that standpoint, I, of course, agree with what Mos Def had to say, but of course, I am no stranger to being a conscientious critic of Drake music. I don't think that makes me a hater, but I'm sure others would disagree.
I mean, just lump me in the category. Just throw me, yeah, just put me in the hater box. I wouldn't like to think so. I would like to think that I'm a objective critic of hip hop, and I have my takes. Um, and I have the people that I am fond of when it comes to upholding the culture in my eyes, and then I have people that I feel like grift and play with the name. And I think Drake is just a grifter when it comes to the hip hop type of thing. But I don't really necessarily blame him because the machine creates these types of entities in the first place. So he's just a successful one, a cash cow. I don't want to call him a plant, you know, because the guy is talented, but they are force feeding him to us as well. So yeah, I don't want to call myself a hater, but haters may call me haters. I don't mind. I really don't mind. But to speak to the cryptic message with Method Man and stuff, that could have been his way of saying that he is hip hop because it's about wearing clothes. But I'm pretty sure if you ask Method Man right now what his definition of hip hop is, not when he's high out of his mind, um, you know, uh, being interviewed in the 90s about this stuff, he was just saying whatever. But, as an old man who has perspective at this point, I'm pretty sure his answer will be slightly different than whatever he said 30 years ago. But be that as it may, just because you wear clothes, just because you talk the slang, doesn't make you hip hop. There's a meme out there where this white woman. This is an old video. It looked like it was in the 90s. And she was basically saying, this is hip hop. And, she was doing all these dances. And then she was getting weird. And she's like, hip hop's not, if you're hip hop, you got to stand like this. And it's, hip hop. And it's like, okay, well, hip hop is more than standing, dancing. It's a lifestyle, if you will. And it's a way of viewing the world. And if you ask Melly Mel, and we've covered him here, and if you ask him, he'll give you a very succinct definition of it. And it'll be kind of close to, my commentary at the beginning, where it's not just speaking about the drug dealers, the pushers, the pimps and the hoes, it's talking about those things, but not in a glorifying sense. But if you listen to anything that Drake talks about, he's going to tell you about his shooters or his goons that he's got around you that's going to pull up. I don't know if he started talking op talk, but if he does start talking to op talk, that's not the definition of this stuff.
No, he does that regularly.
All right, so if he's doing op talk, then at this point, then he is, to me, part of the problem with the commercialization of hip hop. But people love it, man. I think there's a lot of people that got hooked in the beginning and still riding the train of fandom. But I got off a while ago when I saw what he was consistently making. And is it good? Sonically, with the production and all that stuff, it's phenomenal. It's out of this world.
It's debatable. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about now, but the views and the other ones, I mean, to me, they sounded great, but just because it sounds great, what are you talking about? So I'm not really buying whatever Drake is selling here. If you have a forefather speaking out like Mos Def, take heed to that, I would say, because I've been saying this and we've been saying this more or less in so many words whenever we do bring up a Drake topic. And as far as the collapse is concerned, that Mos Def was talking about, I recently went, on a cruise. How about it? And while I was on that boat, parlaying and chilling and stuff, I'm seeing how wasteful all of this stuff is. It's just so much waste. It's so luxurious. It felt like the people on a Titanic. It felt like a people living in a time where it's like, what are you doing? There's so much going on in the world. I understand people got to have a good time and stuff like that, but I was scraping it to make it on that boat. And how long can people keep this up? I was watching a basketball game and I'm seeing halftime entertainment. They're paying the halftime entertainers. They're paying this over there, all this other stuff going on over here. And I'm like, and these tickets are expensive. You try to get a drink, it's expensive. Everything's crazy. And I'm like, how long can people keep this up? How long can people be season ticket holders? How long can people do this? And I think this is sort of what, how long can people go, to the mall and blow a bag? People, if you're doing that, you're going to be hurting later. So I think this is what he's talking about. Like, do you not sense the collapse happening? And if you do sense it and you have that voice, why not speak on that? But he's not. And he's going to continue to make the stuff that you hear when you're in these corporate buildings. So Drake is going to push on. He's not going to speak on the collapse or the potential collapse. He's not going to speak on anything that has substance to it. So I agree with most. I don't feel like he said anything out of pocket. Anybody that has the track record that he has and the resume that he has the right to weigh in on this. And of course, Drake is going to send some sneak diss, and one of his things, a play on word on Mos Def. He's going to do that in one of his songs upcoming. So be on the lookout for that. But I agree, pop star all the way. Nothing wrong with that. He's just a pop star. He's in the Taylor Swift bucket, if you will.
Yeah, to me, he is the rap Taylor Swift. He's not going to make music with messages or speak on anything because see, the funny thing about this music stuff, and I noticed this a while ago, is if it's an artist who's lyrical and who has intelligence, he gets lumped into the conscious category. And that doesn't always apply. Like, just because Drake is well spoken and mild mannered, so to speak, and just because he makes music for women, and he does it and he can rhyme his words pretty decently and he's lyrical, it doesn't mean that he thinks conscientiously about the world. Some people are just surface level thinkers. And I think Drake is a surface level thinker. And I think the onus is on the community at large to stop putting him in the category of conscientiousness. He's not that kind of a person. He is a surface dude, period. He lives his life for depreciable assets in the moment, here one day, gone the next stuff. He's an extension of his music to me. I don't think the music industry tells Drake the kind of music to make. I think Drake makes the kind of music he wants to make, and the music industry recognizes that as the kind of content that they can pump through your feeds and through radios and through the internet as the most easily digestible. It's no different than Walmart selling a pound of red meat for $4. They can do this because people want to be able to eat these foods, but the majority of the population doesn't have the ability to sustainably buy premium quality meat because that shit is expensive. So how do you beat that? Offer a lower grade meat for a lesser price, and people feel like they're still able to, partake in eating their red meat, even though what they are consuming is low in quality. That's what Drake represents musically. And here's the thing, there isn't anything necessarily wrong with that. That's the way of the world. There are divisions of these things. You have the conscientious objectors. You have the people who are surface level. Drake is surface level. I think the point of contention with people like Mos Def is there seems to be a concerted effort to put Drake in the conscientious category. He does not belong there. He belongs in the category with the Walmarts and the Targets and the other easily consumable stuff. And let him reside there. I don't even think he wants to be in the other category. He's
He
fine
doesn't.
being just where he is. He's okay with that. So this need by the hip hop community and the people who love it and consume it and these Drake fans to put him in this category is, I think, part of the problem when it comes to trying to accurately determine what Drake is as an artist. He's a smart, intelligent guy who knows how to make catchy songs, but trust and believe he's surface level. He's not a conscientious observer. Never was, never will be. He's not that kind of a guy. Drake is the guy who wants to get money and smash chicks. That's the extent of who he is. So it's that kind of rhetoric that I think fuels the comments from people like Mos Def. Mos Def is over here with the conscientious observers. Drake is over there with the surface level people, and that's fine. There are levels to this stuff, and not everybody's going to be conscientious. Not everybody's going to be surface. And then you got points in between, and sometimes, there's a synergy between the two worlds, like Drake and J. Cole, they be making songs together, but those two people are not the same. They're not. And I think that there's an ardent effort to sometimes put Drake in that category, and he doesn't belong there. He doesn't. And the need to put him in that category confuses the way that we look at this music, in my opinion. And I think that he just ought to stay where he belongs, which is, hey man, I make that easily consumable stuff. I'm here to give you 2 pounds of red meat for $3. That's what Drake is here for. I'm here to sell you a pack of chicken wings, 20 wings, and all you got to pay is $6-7. Even though we all know that if this was high quality meat, you're going to be paying $30 for this. But I'm here to give you this stuff for $5-6. That's what Drake is here for. So he probably would not like that. He'll probably take exception to it. But that just goes to show you his lack of conscientiousness. Because if he knew what the deal was, if he was conscientious on that level, he wouldn't disagree with any of these comments. But that's kind of the way the world is. And so I hear that. Like always, I tend to believe that these types of comments are less about the person specifically, and they're more of an ongoing conversation of the environment surrounding the person. So I don't think Mos Def was necessarily answering who Drake is as an artist. I think what Mos Def was saying is this is the climate around the kind of music that Drake makes. Similar to the way that Andre 3000 was actually talking about the climate around hip hop music and not why he feels that he has no place in terms of being an artist who makes music. It's a greater message behind the actual comments on its face. And I think that that's what he was getting at with that. You have to accurately gauge where some of these people fall along the pendulum with respect to the kind of music that they put out. And sometimes Drake is inaccurately portrayed as something that he is not.
Yeah. And last thing I'll say is that Drake is a rapper, right? But you can rap and not be hip hop. So he raps, but he's a pop star. So for anybody that wants to be upset about what Mos Def had to say, offended, or want to debate, it's not really much of a debate. He didn't say the guy sucks. He didn't say he was trash. He just said that he's a pop star, who raps, but that's not hip hop. So yeah, I agree, man. This guy is who he is. I saw one of his live streams and I didn't watch it, but clips of it keep circling around the internet. And the guy's just who he is. He is just that. And like you said, IG models, drinking, money, strippers, doing whatever. He's living the entertainer's dream, a rock star, if you will. So he's doing that, and that ain't hip hop. So that's all Mos Def was saying. And I agree 1000%. People can get upset about that. But again, we didn't coin the term. The people who coined the term and who lived up to those terms, they have a say on who's hip hop and who's not. Drake doesn't fit the criteria. who cares? For the people who getting upset about it, it's like, hey, you still have your star at the end of it. It's just pop in front of
Yeah,
it.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, just think about Drake as like Nelly or Chameleonaire or people like that. I don't think I don't think at any point in Nelly's career did people look at him as like, this is hip hop. He was just a guy who was I don't know, he was like a hybrid quasi hip hop pop star, but more of a pop star than hip hop person for sure. Same thing with Chameleonaire and people like that. Drake is just this generation's version of that. And if you wanted to suggest that Drake is more talented than those guys, I'd be willing to concede that. But at the end of the day, he is who he is. Just stop trying to sell me on this idea that he's just this hip hop dude, because I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I think that he is surface level, mass production, assembly line music. And that's fine. That is fine. There's a place for all of it. Let's just call it what it is instead of trying to make it something that it's not.
Yeah, and one last thing, man. Now, I hear you with Nelly, but Chameleonaire is closer to the hip hop line than Nelly and Drake. But I get your point. But I'm just saying that for balance for the Chameleonaire, because he's got his own barbs, if you will, who are like, nah, man, you gotta listen to his catalog. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
did. I stand by what I said. But hey, listen, that's the beauty of this whole thing. If you don't like it, let me know. I stand by what I said, though. Uh, there's
you
degrees
know,
of it. There's always degrees of everything, but what bucket is it in? In my opinion, they're kind of in similar buckets.
gotcha. uh,